Hello, everyone. My name is Litian Wang, and I am from S&P Global Commodity Insights. And today, my presentation spotlight on Indonesia, a major player in the global metals markets. With its rich resources in nickel, cobalt, and copper, and the country's strategic ambitions, Indonesia is now emerging as a key player in the metals markets, especially in the context of global transition to electric vehicles and renewable energies. So here is my agenda today. First of all, I will have a quick introduction on S&P Global Commodity Insights. And next, I will be sharing the market trends we've seen in the Asian nickel, cobalt, and copper market, and the important role that Indonesia plays in this area. Lastly, there will be a Q&A session if time allows. So as a quick introduction, if you are not familiar with S&P Global Commodity Insights, we are one of the 5 divisions of S&P Global. From ratings to Dow Jones indices, we provide essential intelligence to our clients across a various of markets. So plus, a part of Commodity Insights is the leading provider of independent information and benchmark pricing for the world's commodity and energy markets. There are more commodity contracts across global exchanges are settled against S&P Global Platts price. So let me also share a bit about our Platts battery metals assessment. Here you can see the full suite of our battery metals price assessment, including lithium, cobalt, nickel, manganese sulfate, black mass, and graphite. Every assessment listed here are assessed on a daily basis by our battery metals team based in Asia, Europe, and the US. So currently we have about 50 daily prices on the battery metals. To give a better understanding of what we currently cover, you can take a look at this simple diagram. This is actually a pictorial representation of what goes into the production of an NMC battery cell. First of all, we can see that there is cobalt sulfate, nickel sulfate, and manganese sulfate that goes into the production of NMC battery precursor. And then adding lithium carbonate and lithium or hydroxide, we can get the battery cathode material. Currently, Platts covers all the main raw materials, as well as some of the further upstream feedstocks of these cathode and anode battery materials. For example, nickel. We covers price of nickel pig iron, mixed hydroxide precipitate, as well as nickel sulfate. Now let's begin with nickel market. This is an infographic at the right-hand side that Platts published last year and updated recently. This infographic actually shows the data of nickel supply from different Indonesian projects. Indonesia now have become the world's biggest nickel producer. Its nickel processing capacity ramped up after it banned nickel ore exports from 2020s. In 2023, Indonesia's total primary nickel production reached 1.3 million ton, more than double from 2020s, taking up a 41% of the global primary nickel production. So in the first 3 quarters in 2024 this year, the Asian nickel market was also oversupplied, mainly due to Indonesia's increased production in class 2 nickel, comprising mainly nickel pig iron and ferronickel, which both predominantly used in the steel sector. There were also higher output of class 1 higher purity nickel, as well as nickel intermediate products MHP, which are used in nickel sulfate for EV batteries. Actually, nickel pig iron NPI production represents the bulk of Indonesia's primary nickel output. Plus, this year we have launched a daily NPI FOB Indonesia price assessment since February, in view of the growth in Indonesian primary nickel supply. Now we are assessing the daily spot NPI with 10% nickel content at 121, per metric ton unit FOB Indonesia. Indonesian nickel ore supply have been tight since earlier 2024 as production was impacted by its slow mining quota approval. Many MPI producers, they have to import nickel ore from Philippines, which are at a higher price to maintain their production. These supports from cost side have caused MPI prices to surge by May 2024. However, MPI prices then contained by the weak demand from the stainless steel sector in the summer low season during June and July, and rebounded again, as we can see from the graph in the August, because of tight supply caused by recent rainy seasons in Indonesia. In terms of the demand, MPI demand from steel mills have been slower than expected because of consistent weak condition in the stainless steel market. As we know, we also hearing other speakers said previously in their presentation. Market expects that stainless steel prices to continue being contained by its high production and weak demand, which might also cause MPI prices to trend down in the following month. Apart from MPI, nickel sulfate is also one of the most important nickel products. It's one of the key raw materials of producing NMC batteries. There have been concerns for high raw material costs associated with nickel and cobalt, and these have encouraged battery makers to look at technologies outside of NMC batteries. Lithium iron phosphate, which is so-called LFP batteries, are preferred for its safety, longer lifespan, and lower cost, especially in China in recent years. So according to China's data, LFP production is now taking up a market share of 70% in the first half of 2024, while NMC batteries is only taking a market share of 30%. While the demand for nickel sulfate keep being impacted by the lower market share of NMC batteries, the supply also went down because of weaker nickel sulfate prices and high MHP payables, which is the raw material of nickel sulfate. Past data showed that nickel sulfate domestic Chinese price have been range-bound at around 27,000 Chinese yuan per metric ton from July to mid-September. And several producers shared with us that they have stopped offering nickel sulfate because of negative profit margin. In terms of the outlook for nickel sulfate price, September and October are the traditional peak season in China. However, market expect that nickel sulfate prices will keep stable because of the weaker than expected demand from NMC cathode maker. Several NMC cathode maker shared that the increase in NMC cathode material order is quite limited in the fourth quarter. Apart from the domestic Chinese nickel sulfate price, Platts have launched a daily nickel sulfate premium CIF Northeast Asia assessment from August to complement its coverage in the Northeast Asia market. So currently, we are assessing it at $1,250 per metric ton. Upstream, MHP is one of the most important major intermediate products of nickel laterite ore, the feedstock of nickel sulfate and refined nickel. In terms of the supply of MHP, it is expected to increase in the second half of 2024, with more projects coming online, such as Phase 3 of PT-OBI nickel cobalt and Phase 2 of PT-QMB new materials. These projects just announced that they are producing at full capacity since September. Although in August, MHP payable basis on aluminum nickel increased because of weaker supply caused by rainy seasons in Indonesia, and there's market talks of one major Indonesian MHP producer have cut their production by 3,000 to 4,000 tons per month because of the machine maintenance. Market anticipates that there will be an ample supply in the market with the rainy season come to an end. So those MHP projects whose production was impacted by the bad weather would resume production, while some supply will come from new projects mentioned earlier. However, in terms of the demand, market showed signs of slowing demand, especially in the downstream battery sector. Market participants said that MHP demand remained soft due to negative margins, owing to suppressed nickel sulfate prices. One major producer said that the market appears to be balanced in Q4, but they would monitor whether the demand in NMC battery improves in October, the peak season. If it does, there will be a tightening of MHP supply in the market. Now, MHP prices is usually assessed at a payables over LME nickel prices, and now we are assessing it at 81% payables, CIF North Asia. And the overall price for MHP is now at $13,883 per metric ton. Moving forward, our analytics team forecast that a 24.2% growth in primary nickel demand by 2028 to come from passenger plug-in EV batteries. We also see there will be further decoupling of metal and chemical prices in the market, given the different dynamics between battery metals and the stainless steel sector. For example, nickel pig iron it is heavily used in the stainless steel sector, impacted by fundamentals in the stainless steel sector, while nickel sulfate is more used in battery application. Therefore, oftentimes we see more impact from upstream supply, but also downstream EV and battery demand factors. And US is expected to be the main driver of PEV battery nickel demand growth because of their preference for high nickel batteries in their PEVs. Lastly, the market is also watching Indonesia, the world's largest primary nickel producer, closely, as Indonesia have close ties with China and listed under the foreign entities of concern and might be impacted by Inflation Reduction Act. Most nickel mines and refineries in Indonesia are joint ventures with Chinese-owned companies. And here I got one exciting news to share is that plus we are launching a daily nickel ore CIF China spot price assessment today. The nickel ore assessment would complement existing plus nickel assessment, which include MPI, nickel sulfate, and MHP. Here you can see the specs of our new assessment. Besides nickel, Indonesia is also emerging as a cobalt producer, although cobalt traditionally mostly come from the DRC. As MHP is now a growing alternative supply for cobalt hydroxide. MHP also contains 3 to 5% of nickel. According to S&P Global forecast, that Indonesia will have cobalt mine supply of 32,000 metric ton in 2024, which comprising of a 13.2% of global cobalt supply. Cobalt sulfate, together with nickel sulfate, are the main raw materials used in NMC battery production. Its prices in domestic China had peaked at 32.5 thousand Chinese yuan in June this year because of news about the potential stockpiling of 15,000 metric ton of cobalt metals by Chinese State Reserve Bureau. And the prices have continued to trend down since then amid oversupply in cobalt hydroxide, which is a major feedstock of cobalt sulfate. Cobalt hydroxide is heavily oversupplied as it's a byproduct of copper mining, while copper prices have been robust in 2024. We can see this year that cobalt hydroxide prices have dropped all the way from $7 per pound to $6.2 per pound right now. Speaking of copper, while China has been leading the global refined copper growth this year, Indonesia have also seen robust increases in copper production. Indonesia have banned their copper concentrate export from June 2024 this year, and only 2 producers managed to extend their exporting license to the end of 2024. Here are the Platts copper assessments. We can see we have daily prices, we have weekly prices here, and actually, we can see the clean copper concentrate CIF China treatment charges graph here. TCRCs are the treatment and refining charges that producers pay to the smelters during their copper production process. We can see the lower TCRCs mean that the supply of copper concentrate is tight, and smelters receive less from producers to produce copper. Spot TCRCs fell to the historical low point in 2024 due to increasing smelting capacity in Indonesia and China, while the increase on copper concentrate supply is very limited. We can see the demand and supply changes expecting here for the copper refining capacity. There's 2 additional copper plants with 670,000 metric ton smelting capacity have been built in Indonesia, and their copper production is expected in Q4 2024. These will actually worsen the tight copper concentrate supply and also challenge copper sales during a weak macroeconomic situation. So with that, we've covered all the latest trends, key drivers, and future outlooks in the nickel, cobalt, and copper markets across Asia. And I hope this gives all of you a valuable insight into the current spot market. Thank you guys for your time.